And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. The combination of the world's two most powerful air forces is unprecedented and unbeatable. Between our Air Force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that. So today, as we speak, we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran. Fighters and bombers all day picking targets as they choose. As our intelligence gets better and better and more refined. Looking up, the IRGC and Iranian regime sees only two things on the side of aircraft: the stars and stripes and the Star of David. The evil regime's worst nightmare. Iran has no air defenses. Iran has no air force. Iran has no navy. Their missiles, their missile launchers and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky. Their missile volume is down 90%.
90%? So we hear a lot of good things in the press conferences, and then you turn on the news. You know, I like a balance of the news. So I watch a bit of Al Jazeera. I watch a little bit of BBC. I don't watch CNN. I watch Fox Business. Just to see where things are going so that I have a more informed view from both sides. The Iranians are still firing missiles. How they get them to fly to Israel and to the Gulf states, the GCC, I don't know. They're still firing missiles, and they're firing drones, and they're firing a lot of them. And somebody is not telling us the truth. This, to me, today's press conference, it was one of the most useless press conferences that Pete Hegseth has done. It felt too defensive for a nation that is on offense. It felt like they were trying to relieve some type of pressure and to get ahead of the narrative. And also, it felt, in what I would say, very disrespectful to the intelligence of the general public.
Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%. And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it.
Oh, man. I could just tell from the body language, he didn't even know what to say. He looked the other way instead of looking in the camera, even though he had been looking in the camera the whole time. It's body language. It tells me, obviously, they underestimated what the Iranians was going to do with the Strait of Hormuz. This wasn't well planned out. This wasn't well thought out. You can always adjust in the middle of a conflict, like the Russians have done with the Ukraine, right? Like what Russia has just done with Ukraine. You can always adjust in the midst of your campaign. But to sit here and pretend like oil is going to flow or ships are going to flow through the straits and the Persian in the next few days is wishful thinking.
Soon and very soon, all of Iran's defense companies will be destroyed. For example, as of 2 days ago, Iran's entire ballistic missile production capacity, every company that builds every component of those missiles, has been functionally defeated, destroyed.
No, because the Russians are going to give them missiles. The Chinese are going to give them missiles. And maybe even India might give them missiles. They got oil and gas. All these countries need their oil and gas. all these countries need that access through the Persian Gulf. They have some leverage, and this is what we're failing to admit. They may be the most craziest regime out there, but one thing that we can all agree on is that the Iranians have some leverage. And now they're playing that leverage with oil prices, most likely going towards $150 a barrel. So they do have some leverage. Now, you can blow up all the missile stuff. These guys were under sanctions for 20 something, 30 years, and they still managed to build massive drone stockpiles, a lot of drones, a lot of it, enough to even donate some to the Russians, build missile technology from short range to medium range to long range. So all it takes is the will, and they've proven that they have the will to do it, and they have the engineering ability to do it. It's a very educated population.
We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why.
I didn't mean to laugh like that. What is victory? What are we going to define as victory? If you leave and the regime is intact and the regime is still in control, everything you destroyed is going to get rebuilt unless you go back there. And now, every tactic that you used against them, they're going to prepare a little bit more against that tactic. Another thing that is going to happen is they know that they control or they can impact the prices of oil and gas. So as long as there's hostilities and the West is fuel hungry, they will always impact our way of life, our economics, our finances, and our security now in this case, right? With terrorism, sleeper cells. So this is a much complex problem. And I think Trump was trying to get a Venezuela win in the Middle East, which has never been an easy turf for the U.S. ever. Never have been. Afghanistan didn't turn out so great. And guess what? Those Taliban guys are back in charge. After all the lives and all the resources, people that were fighting with camels have been able to take back power in Afghanistan.
Some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
To do that safely and smartly. So we're continuing to develop.
And we do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And like I said, it is dynamic, but this is...
Every time that the general was going to give information or respond to some very simple questions, but questions that are very uncomfortable politically, Pete Hegseth was very uncomfortable with it. And he would try to jump in and just say a bunch of things that don't make sense. That's too much pressure. They shouldn't have done this press conference. I don't think it was necessary. I think these guys are under a whole lot of pressure, and rightly so.